Hello and welcome to this really brief tutorial on getting the most out of patient and family engagement at the 2020 PeDRA Annual Conference. My name is Suz Schrandt and I'm a patient advocate and a patient engagement engineer. And I'm going to be walking you through the tips and ideas for really maximizing your engagement opportunities. But first, why does all of this matter? Well, over the past several years, we've witnessed a true revolution in how we do research, how we develop new therapies and design and deliver care. Where patients used to be only the end users of medicine, they are now really helping to create and improve the very care and the therapies that they receive. And this has been shown to yield myriad benefits, from faster and more sizable recruitment into clinical trials, to more feasible and successful treatment approaches, and everything in between. Of course, this is going to be a little bit different this year at the 2020 PeDRA Annual Conference, as everything will be virtual, but that doesn't have to limit your ability to engage with patients and families. Throughout the conference and in general sessions, you may even be able to connect more readily than at an in-person event, with the opportunity to stop by patient advocacy organizations' virtual booths or tables, the ability during sessions to submit questions and have conversations via chat, and really establish connections with each other. Certainly during the smaller virtual breakout sessions, those same opportunities will exist in a more focused and more intimate way. And then this year, there will be a great opportunity to submit your posters for feedback from patient and family reviewers. You can work with patients in a variety of ways before, during, and after the conference. Even just by having conversations with patients and their families, you can gain important insights about their lived experience with diseases and conditions, their life on treatment, navigating the healthcare system, and the social and emotional facets of illness that we know are so important. But to get ready for the 2020 PeDRA Annual Conference, let's use kind of a simplified construct for thinking about the involvement of patients. So first off, you can partner with patients and families in discussions about future research. Partnering with patients and families in discussion about future research is probably most relevant for those general sessions and the virtual breakout sessions, asking for their input on what would be important to study, how their conditions affect them, and understanding what the barriers and facilitators are to really wanting to participate in research. And importantly, this could even be a way to recruit patient and family partners to join your project. The types of questions you might want to have in mind as you're working with patients in this type of activity is, what have been your most significant challenges dealing with your condition? What are those treatments or tools that they have found to be effective? And what do we still need? Where are there gaps? Maybe what do you wish you knew about your disease? And importantly, what would make you and people like you willing to participate in research? You could also talk about partnering with patients and families during research that's already happening, that's going on right now. Here again, this is more likely to be the case during the general sessions of the conference and then those virtual breakout sessions. Maybe your study has had trouble recruiting, or you've noticed a trend in the data that is a little bit confusing to you. You could talk to patients and families with the condition in question about, how do you troubleshoot these issues? Conversely, maybe you are seeing very promising findings and you'd really like to understand from the patient perspective if these are as exciting to them as they are to you. When you're thinking through what are the types of questions you would ask or what are the types of discussions you might have, it's questions like this. Maybe review your recruitment protocol if you're having trouble. Talk about the study protocol itself. Are there parts of the study that are just too difficult to comply with? Are there things you could do to increase feasibility? When it comes time to be analyzing data, examining trends, are there things that these patients and families see that they can help really elucidate for you as you're working toward conclusions? Are these findings lining up with their experiences? And if there are outcomes or data that you're not currently capturing, should you add them to the plan? And then finally, you can certainly work with patients even after a project is already finished. And this will be particularly relevant for the posters being presented at the conference. And so at this stage, you would be looking sort of backwards, asking, how could we present this information in a way that's really understandable? Or what jumps out to you as the most surprising findings? How do you think patients and families could use this data? Or do you have ideas for how we could reach patients? These are all really great ways to engage patients, and it doesn't matter where you are in the research process. So let's get into sort of the nuts and bolts. How do you get ready and really get the maximum benefit out of patient and family engagement during those in-conference activities? It really is important to do a little bit of advanced planning, a little bit of homework, and actually watching this video is step one, so that's a great first step. If possible, you could even identify some questions or thought starters for patients and families that you know are going to be present at your sessions or present in your virtual breakout. During the actual meeting, what you want to do is set that very casual, respectful tone, encourage questions, make sure everyone is feeling equal around the virtual table. You might need to periodically call on patients. In some ways, being in a virtual setting can help people feel more comfortable because you're not face-to-face, but in other ways, it can be hard to follow those cues and know when it's your turn to talk. It's perfectly appropriate to call on people if you're not hearing from them. They can always pass the opportunity if they don't have something specific to say. And definitely something that I think many folks are afraid to do is if a patient or a family member says something that you or the group doesn't understand, it is not only okay, it's actually really important to ask clarifying questions. It could be a really important kernel of knowledge, and you don't want to miss that opportunity. In thinking about preparing posters for this opt-in review by patients and families so that they can provide feedback, there's really sort of two pieces to this. Part one is the patients reviewing for what I would call sort of relevance and feasibility. So they'll be looking through what you've presented to see, is this a priority topic for patients? Were patients and families involved in selecting the topic, or is this a topic that we sort of all know and accept to be critically important? How will the knowledge gained be useful in patients' lives navigating their treatments? Is the study or was the study easy for people to navigate and participate in? Was it welcoming and designed well? And were they or will they be willing to enroll in the study? Did you reach recruitment goals, or were there challenges? The second part of the patient family review of posters is really specific to patient and family engagement. And so this would be for those posters where patients and families, particularly patients and parents, were involved in the study. What patient and family reviewers will be looking at and providing feedback on are things like, was the study designed with those patients and parents in partnership? Were the proposed outcome measures selected with patient and parent input? Are they appropriate and important to those folks? Are the patients and parents serving on the study team helping to draft study materials, or did they do that as part of their role? Is there a plan, or was there a plan for patients and families to access and receive study results, which is really critically important? So this is a little bit unique and may not be familiar to you. One of the most important things for making sure that you're conveying the patient and family engagement that may have happened in your work is to be very explicit about it. Don't assume that people will derive it from the page unless there are words there to lead them to that conclusion. So saying something like, we engaged patients and families is really not detailed enough to be instructive. You want to provide examples, very clear descriptions of the roles of the patients and families, maybe even providing examples of how they influenced the study. For example, if they changed an outcome measurement or added an outcome measurement, if they changed your method of recruitment, whatever that might be, providing those little kernels of value is really important to the reviewer. And most importantly, if patients and families were involved in the creation of the poster itself, be sure you say that. Carry that engagement through from planning to conduct to dissemination of results. It's actually happened frequently in prior patient and family reviews and feedback loops of other posters that the patients and families were very involved in the poster creation, but because that wasn't stated, it wasn't clear to the reviewers. So just be as explicit as you can. Well, thank you so much for watching this short video. I hope it's a very enjoyable and successful conference for you. And truly, with just a little bit of advanced planning, you can maximize the patient and family engagement that you experience at this year's event.